Good afternoon, everyone. Hi there. I want to thank you all for being present, as I said earlier to the other group, and thank you for actually being present, which means we appreciate you coming here to learn about the history of America, because that's exactly what Black history is. And it's something that everyone should know, and it's something that everyone should be familiar with. Did you want me to take your lacrosse stick? Yeah. I don't even have mine on. So as Mr. Shabazz prepares to get the presentation together, we are going to have a very short agenda that will make everybody feel comfortable. This is a very safe space, so we want you to know that there's some seats here. For those of you that are standing in the back, you can sit up here. It's a safe space for you to answer questions, to ask your questions answered, to ask questions, to get some information and learn some things. There were many students that were in the first session that said that they learned some things that they really did not know. We're fortunate to have some very seasoned teachers that are here, and some of them not so seasoned because some of them didn't graduate too long ago. Okay. We did have an alumni from Howard University earlier that went to Alexandria City High School. She was initially going to VCU and went to Howard and is having a really great experience. And I think that being able to introduce you to all kinds of colleges and universities is what we do at the College and Career Center here at Alexandria City High School. And this is just one important, limb that we really want to make sure that you understand about, which is historically Black colleges and universities, okay? The inclusivity, what they represent, and I want to start by introducing the Black Student Union President, who is Miss Miracle Gross, and her team, wonderful team who's helped her work on the HBCU panel. Mr. Shabazz spearheads and sponsors this wonderful program, so we want to go ahead and get started. Ms. Gross.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all for being here, and I just wanted to further say thank you to all the teachers who took time out of their classes to be here with us today for this important part of our lecture series, Let's Talk HBCUs. So what are HBCUs? HBCUs are historically Black colleges and universities. I'll give some background. The designation of HBCUs was created by Title III of the Higher Education Act of 1965. This law defines these schools as any historically Black college or university that was established prior to 1964, whose principal mission was and is the education of Black Americans. HBCUs were created to provide African Americans with the skills and education to achieve success and financial security in an environment against discrimination, an environment designed to uplift. Resultantly, each school's overwhelming commitment to Black students remains unparalleled. Studies show that Black HBCU graduates are generally better prepared for life beyond college and more engaged at work than non-HBCU graduates. This is from statistics. Additionally, Black HBCU grads are more likely to be thriving in purpose and financial well-being than non-HBCU students.
Okay, so some HBCU facts. The oldest HBCU is Cheyney University of Pennsylvania, founded in 1837. There are 107 HBCUs across the country, enrolling over 228,000 students. The largest HBCU is North Carolina A&T, and the number one HBCU is Spelman College of Atlanta, Georgia.
You might ask yourself, why would I go to HBCU? Like, what does it offer? It offers three main things: belonging, rich culture, and confidence. Belonging because HBCUs were the first colleges that ever gave higher education to Black people, and it allows a sense of belonging and comfortability within a society that's built against us. Rich culture, like Homecoming is such an event to go to. They're going to talk about it later, but it allows people to explore their own interests and ambitions with the context of race and culture they belong to, and also for confidence. It allows people to be themselves it allows people to be themselves while they go into the adult world looking for things that they want to do later in life.
So some of your favorite celebrities may have actually attended and graduated from HBCUs. So I have 5 here. Mind you, there's a plethora of athletes and famous NBA players, NFL players, rappers, singers, all across the board. But here we have 2 Chainz, who attended Alabama State University. We have Avery Johnson, who attended Southern University. Oprah Winfrey, who attended Tennessee State University. Rick Ross, who attended Albany State University. And Taraji P. Henson, who attended the illustrious Howard University. Not just attended, but they also graduated. And now we're going to start our guided discussion questions for our panelists. I'm going to hand it over to Ms. Morris, and then we're going to open up for questions from the floor.
Wonderful. Before we introduce our panelists, I just want you to know that as we talk about historically Black colleges and universities, we have some really great statistical data, recent statistical data that talks about historically Black colleges and universities. HBCUs educate 10% of all Black students. Because HBCUs most commonly serve low-income or Black students, they help facilitate a larger socioeconomic gains within the country. Over 80% of the judges and Supreme Court justices, hopefully soon, have graduated from historically Black colleges and universities. But we're not just talking about stars or rappers. We're talking about educators. We're talking about very great gains within education all over the country, and it starts right here at Alexandria City High School with the wonderful educators that we have here on our panel. I am going to have them introduce themselves, and then we're going to start. Actually, we'll just go ahead and start with questions, and you can introduce yourself. What was your journey in attending an HBCU? So why did you attend an HBCU?
Hi, I'm Miss Gross. Some of you may know me virtually. Some of you I met in person. I'm the librarian at Minnie Howard. Hope everybody's doing good. I'm honored to be here. I attended Elizabeth City State University. It's in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. It's close to Norfolk, Virginia. And the reason I attend, I'm from the country, if you don't know. I'm from a small town in North Carolina. My aunt attended. And Elizabeth City started as a teacher's college because, as someone just said, that during those times, we as Blacks, we could not go and get training at any college. So Elizabeth City was open for a teacher training college. And my aunt was a teacher, and she talked about Elizabeth City, and it had a good program for librarians, which I am. And so I decided to go. Financial aid, it was reasonable as far as money, a small campus. And so I decided to go to Elizabeth City State. And it's been a great experience. And I pledged AKA, and it's just a great experience. Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. I didn't know.
I gotta stand up. So I'm Miss Butler. I'm Miss Butler. I teach Avid at the Minnie Howard campus, and I went to 2 HBCUs. I started off at Tennessee State University, and if you know Coach Bigham, that is his. He's an alumni of Tennessee State. We call it Tiger Bells and all that good stuff. I played a sport. Played volleyball, won on a scholarship, and then I transferred because I was a little too far. I'm originally from Long Island, New York, and I was like, whoa. But I will say that Southern vibe is a whole thing when you go to college, but that's a whole other story. And then I transferred, and I went to Morgan State University, which is located in Baltimore City, Maryland. A lot of students don't apply because I think you're in Virginia, so I get it, but it's definitely an experience that I love. I originally applied to HBCUs because my junior year in high school, I did a college visit, and we did all the HBCUs down in the southern area, and every school I went to, I wanted to go to. I was like, oh, I like the pineapple juice. I like the fact they had grits. I mean, there was all these different things that they had in the experience, and when I actually got off the bus and recognized there was a university of people that looked like me. I went to a high school just like Alexandria City High School. My school was very diverse, and we all used diverse very loosely. But when I looked at all the schools that everybody was going to, I wanted to be that person to let them. I wanted to go somewhere else. Most of my friends at that time were white, and they were all going to these different schools, and I wanted to let them know that we are equal. We're just going to different places, and I am who I am. I went to a lot of white institutions after that. I have as many degrees as white folks do, And there's a reason for that because I was rooted in the HBCU, and I am who I am because of that. Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Shirelle Hopkins. I teach in the International Academy, if you guys are not familiar with me. However, I also attended an HBCU. I attended Norfolk State University. I am from the Norfolk, Virginia area, but since moving here, I've recognized that a lot of people don't know where that is. So that is the Virginia Beach area, if you're familiar with that. So Norfolk is about 30 minutes from the beach. I chose Norfolk State because as a senior, junior in high school, I really didn't know where I wanted to go to college. I didn't know a lot of things, right? I'm just kind of feeling things out, probably the same way that you guys are. But my driving force to going to college was, of course, I wanted to live a better life. But in choosing Norfolk State was they offered me a scholarship that no one else did, right? They recognized the potential that I had that PWIs didn't recognize. So that is one thing that I can say about HBCUs. They definitely value the people that attend the universities, and we are family. And so I can attest to that. After I got there, I definitely felt that same family that I still feel to this day. My personal family, there's so many people that attended Norfolk State. So it was just like an automatic, just this is the place where I belong, and that feeling never goes away. So I would definitely consider or have you consider an HBCU. It's a great experience. While there, I did also pledge Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Okay. Yes, ma'am. So consider that, not Alpha Kappa Alpha. I'm just joking.
All right. My name is Mr. Shabazz. I teach African American Studies, Social Justice, Global Majority Studies, Honors 12 Government, the We the People section. I attended and graduated from the Black Harvard, Hampton University in Hampton, Virginia. One of the reasons why I decided to attend Hampton specifically, but HBCUs in general, is rooted in an actual experience that I had in high school. I'll give you the truncated version. I was in an advanced program called the Renaissance Program at my high school because I'm from Newark, New Jersey, which is a very black place. And we did not have AP courses in my high school in the 80s. So the people that were in the Renaissance program, they would pay for you to go to Rutgers Newark, which is actually right across the street from my high school, like literally right across the street. So so I started going there in January of my senior year. Well, going to a predominantly white campus while I was in high school did give me a good sense of what it was like. And a quick experience that I had, I remember I was leaving class, in the evening, and I was trying to not miss my bus. I'm sure some of you could relate. So I was running across the campus trying to make sure that I didn't miss my bus. But while I was running, evidently the Rutgers University police saw me running as well. And because I was a black person running on this predominantly white campus, they assumed a crime had been committed, I guess. Although clearly, unbeknownst to me, I mean, I'm running. So I actually did hear like sirens or something in the background, but clearly didn't think it was for me. So when I'm running, I finally get to the bus stop. So when I get to the bus stop, 4 Rutgers University police cars show up, and the first one jumps out with his gun drawn, and the rest get out their cars like, hey, and I'm like, oh, what's going on? So of course I put my hands up, and I really thought for a split second I was about to be murdered, and essentially. They did not believe that I was a student. They said, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm a student here. What are you doing? So they asked to see my ID, and once they saw my ID, they were like, okay, well, Next time we tell you to stop. I'm like, I didn't know that you were even talking to me because I hadn't committed a crime. But you know what? As they drove off and I stood there, shook, because if you ever have a near-death experience, and that's what it felt like to me, you're never the same. And as I stood there, I'm like, you know what? This happened because I'm black. And I said, I will never, I repeat, never decide to go to a predominantly white institution as an undergraduate because I don't want that experience. If I'm running across campus, I'm late for something. So I chose, because I was also very intelligent, I wanted to go to one of the best HBCUs, which is why I chose Hampton. I wanted to go to a place that had a beautiful campus. I did visit Howard. It was a city place. So you got to cater where you're going to your sensibility. I'm from a city. Howard looked like the city I was from. So although I loved Howard and the mystique, it wasn't a draw for me. But when I went to Hampton, I visited the campus. It felt like home. And boy, did I make a great decision. And I pledged Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, Blue Phi.
Miss Lewis or Miss Chavis, whichever one.
Okay, hi guys. My name is Miss Chavis, and I teach Intro to Fashion Careers, Fashion Marketing, and Advanced Fashion Marketing here at King Street campus. I attended the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, which is on the Eastern Shore of Maryland, for those of you who don't know. I was born and raised in Maryland. My HBCU journey began because in the 7th grade, I learned how to sew, and I decided after I continued sewing, I wanted to do something with that. We had what we call in my high school vocational technical education. So half a day, I would go to the vocational center, and I was learning to sew from my teacher, Miss Rico Nelson. And I wanted to continue this when I went to college. So I attended a college fair, and all the schools, I was asking them, do you have a fashion program? And it's like, no, or we just closed it. We're not doing that anymore. And all the other schools were outside of Maryland. So basically, that was, I looked at the school in Pennsylvania and Philadelphia, and when we got the nice little, this is what you have to pay, I looked at my mom, and she said, you better look somewhere else. So I basically went to college in my backyard because the University of Maryland Eastern Shore is only 25 minutes from my parents' house, if they speed. So I always said I would never go there, but it was the best decision I ever made, and it was right in my backyard because I met lifelong friends. I had one of the best programs you could go through. I still talk to some of my professors. It's a small campus. You really get to know people, and it just felt like home. I knew that was the right decision I made for me because I also went to somewhat of a predominantly white high school. So when I got there, I was like, hold up. I was like, I am home for sure. And again, this college was in my backyard. Like I said, that was the best decision that I ever made for me.
Hello, everyone. I'm Miss Lewis. I teach DE Entrepreneurship and Business Law / Management. So enroll. Yes, I went to the illustrious Southern University at New Orleans. All right, and I am from New Orleans, Louisiana. So it was right in my backyard. Also, I initially started at Xavier University, and I finished at Southern University. Unlike you all, I had a different upbringing. Everything was black, right? Elementary school, middle school, high school. I went to an all-girls Catholic high school, 7 through 12. My stepfather was a graduate of Fisk University, and I only knew of HBCUs. I only knew of black institutions. So it wasn't a choice. It was just something that was in order for me. So in high school, I completed 10 applications to 10 HBCUs. It just wasn't a figment of my imagination to even apply to a PWI. I've had experiences with other, in high school, I was in cheer, so I had experiences going to white schools where we weren't welcome. It was different in the South, and I felt that ever since I was young. So it was never an option for me to step foot on a PWI. But at Southern University, I excelled, and it was the best choice that I could have ever made.
So our amazing panelists have answered pretty great questions. Oh, excuse me, we have a wonderful Hampton University graduate who is also an amazing science teacher here. And I'm going to give some alumni data about the success of the alumni of HBCUs.
Hello, everyone.
Barner.
I'm Mrs. Barner, and I went to Hampton University, one of the best choices that I could have ever made. Whereas in my home, I was taught to embrace who I am. But when I would receive recruitment letters and things of that sort, I felt like PWIs just wanted me to be a part of their stats, a part of their numbers, to be another smart Black female to add to the list. And I wanted more than that. So in visiting various college campuses, when I stepped on Hampton's campus, it was more so that the campus spoke to me. And it was more so like this is home, on top of the fact that I had an aunt and a cousin older than me that attended Hampton University. And one of the sayings at Hampton is the legacy continues. And with me being a family member, I wanted to continue that legacy. And again, it could have been any HBCU for me. However, when I stepped on that campus spoke to me and said, Tiffany, yeah, this is it. You're home.
Awesome. I wanted to make sure that we, number one, got a chance to meet all of our finalists. We had a panelist that was here from Howard University the last session, and you'll get to watch that session so you can get a chance to speak with her. But 75% of the students at historically Black colleges and universities are Black students. The other 35% are students that are other ethnicities. There are white students at HBCUs the same way a primarily white institution is just historically a white institution. That's what a historically Black institution is. And when we talk about the success of our alumni, we have statistical data that really, really just hones in on the mobility rate, which means the success of schools. One of the top 3 success schools is Hampton University. Okay, the list of schools that we listed, in these schools rate, even though HBCUs only represent 3%, they rank in the highest statistics when it comes to Ivy League schools. Xavier University is number 1 for mobility. Spelman College is 2nd. Hampton University is 3rd. Tennessee State University is 4th. Winston-Salem State is 5th. Florida Agriculture, Roland Mechanical University, Dillard University, another New Orleans school, Howard University, South Carolina State, Elizabeth City State University, and North Carolina Agricultural and Technical, which is one of the largest HBCUs. So when we talk to you about matriculating to college, everyone is welcome at a historically Black college or university. So it's just really amazing to be able to have access to instructors that know that. So when we talk about mobility rate, this is what this means. It's the measure of social mobility of an HBCU alumni plays a significant role in the story that's presented about the success of HBCUs. So really to break this down, the data proves that HBCUs are right here when it comes to PWIs. So the data shows that the ground is level. So whatever the myth that you may have heard, or however it's been presented to you about how our schools represent successful alumni, we want to make sure that you understand that they are at the same level. And we have statistical data that is from Harvard, Princeton, Yale, Chicago University that proves that. And they are just a great example of that. They spoke a little bit about their personal experience. We got some information about the sororities or fraternities. When you talk about your experience, how did it prepare you for afterlife? Because I have students in the College and Career Center that say to me, Ms. Morris, I don't want to go to a historically Black college or university because I don't think I'll be prepared for life or for the future. So it does exactly the opposite. It actually prepares you. And we're going to have our panelists speak to the fact that how did your HBCU prepare you for life after college, specifically your professional career?
I'll say demanding excellence. And I think that's one thing that a lot of students confuse when your teacher has a high expectation of you in their class. And like I told my last class earlier, please don't give me at least I did it work. because I couldn't turn in, at least I did at work in college. I had professors who would call you in their office and be like, what is this? Literally. So it prepares you because it tells you you have to stand out. Like you already have, I don't want to say you have a mark against it because you go to an HBCU, but a lot of corporations sometimes look down and don't think that we get the quality education as PWIs, but that is totally false. If you look at my school, University of Maryland Eastern Shore, it is a historically black college university in the undergrad. The graduate programs now are 85% white because of the School of Pharmacy, the physical therapy program, the engineering program, the aviation program. And when I look at the pamphlets and the things I see now, I'm like, hold up. So don't knock out going to an HBCU because you think you're not going to get the quality education. It's there. You just have to go for it.
I have to stand. I'm sorry. I can't. Yeah. One thing is that so when someone asks me what college I've gone to, and I say Morgan State University, they say, where is that? Or I say Tennessee State. But then when I say the Ohio State University, or if I say George Mason University or Gallaudet, everybody knows those schools. I went to those schools. I have degrees from those schools. I have 3 degrees, 3 master degrees.
Let them know.
From 3 white schools, but I didn't start there. And so you have to understand when they talk about that grounding, and because in order for me to be able to exist there, I had to start where I come from. So I knew how to mix and mingle and understand and how to stand for who I am as an individual and where I come from. And I felt like when I was at Morgan State and Tennessee State, the first thing they said, it was excellence. Everything was excellence. You dressed the part, you talked the part. It was all of those things that we harp on you that a lot of people go, I don't know what you mean, but it is hard to be black in America. And so in order for everyone to let them know what you're about, you have to kind of talk about where you come from. That's what that actually means. And so in order for me to have existed at those schools and mix and mingle and be able to do the things I do, it was because of an HBCU. Would not have been able to do it the other way around. Would not. And so I love that because there was this familial thing. You know what it's like to be in a class of 40, in a class of 10. When you go to these big schools, sometimes you have schools, or when I went to the Ohio State, I had my freshman class was 160 students, and it was 3 blacks. I was one of them. And it was overwhelming. But it wasn't overwhelming to the point where I couldn't be successful because I went to a small black school with 30 of us, and I talked to those professors, and they was like, you got this. I still keep in contact with my professors. I heard that. They want to know what I'm doing now. They asked me to come back. I remember when Shabazz and I went to the HBCU fair that one of the churches put on, and we were in there like, yeah, it was all these black schools. We were like, yo, we need to go back. I'm feeling this. How could we get in the mix, right? And so I say that to say that everybody's journey is different. But when we hear this negative connotations about historically black colleges and university, it's because that black piece is a part of it, and we got to take that out of it. There's an institution where you can be educated and you can be successful. Did white people go to my school? Absolutely. When I went there, the quarterback was white. He was the only white guy in my whole existence when I was there. Everybody loved him because, we love differently. And so therefore, and he was successful. He had a full ride. He was on scholarship. And he had a great experience. And he got an education just like that. And now when I go back to Tennessee State, Morgan State, I do see a lot of white students that attend for various reasons, just like when we go to PWIs for various reasons. But the education is the same, and so I want you to understand. And truth be told, you can go to a university and totally flunk, and that'd be your fault. So you have to understand what your role is going to be there. But that family piece, the small, just the whole type that I received, and there were professors there that were absolute jerks. They held me to the fire. The workload was heavy. I mean, it was over the top. And so I want you to understand that if that is your journey, this is definitely a place for you to be. If you need to talk to one of this, if someone's one-on-one, but there's a lot of different pieces that HBCUs provide that you will never get at a PWI.
Ms. Butler and Ms. Chavis were talking about the excellence. And so that's the excellence that's important. That's the excellence that's prolific when you're a black student on any campus. And I'm going to tell you in particular at an HBCU, there's some of you that have applied to some HBCUs that were thinking that they were easy to get into, and you received some rejection letters. And so let me just tell you, it's not easy to navigate. And the GPAs and the test scores that are required are just as excellent and just one quick fact I wanted to say is that HBC statistically, historically Black college and university graduates earn more over their careers than other Black students that attend PWIs. That is statistical data. Again, about the college access rate, it's a fact. You're looking at the facts right here in front of you. So you wanted to continue to talk about your experience and how that prepared you for your career.
Yes, great. Ms. Butler was talking about family, and coming from a small southern town, I've seen the Klan march in my town when I was a little girl. I've seen a lot of racial divide growing up, and I went to HBCU because of that family feel. Sometimes you think that you go to those older professors and older people that have seen things gonna give you a little slap on the wrist and say, because you experienced these things. But instead, they modeled to me how I should be. They're saying, you got to keep going. We're not going to let you slide through, So they modeled going through difficult times. And just like now. So I think going to HBCU just encourage you to be strong, to definitely to live in a time like we live in now, because everything that I've been through is coming back. So I think having those professors and modeling, as a librarian, I can talk to some students that other teachers can't talk to. So modeling that, just being a model to me, and me taking it on, and I don't know what I'm saying, but you get it.
Well, in terms of how my experience at Hampton prepared me for being successful, I want to be very clear about the rigorous education that I received at Hampton University. First of all, it is one of the incredible Black institutions, one of the best Black institutions in this nation, and arguably in the world, and that's just a fact. And a lot of times, one of the things that I call it the special snowflake syndrome, where when I was in high school, I was, somewhat arrogant. I thought that I was very intelligent. I was winning debate tournaments and winning a lot of awards, and I went to national affairs representing the state of New Jersey at debate tournaments. They only picked 2 from the state. So I had a lot of swagger, and I felt like I was at the top of my high school, and then I'm attending, college, and I'm only a high school student. So I felt special. But let me tell you, when I got to Hampton, I realized that I was not special. I was young, gifted, and Black, like all those other people there were young, gifted, and Black. And it gave me a collective consciousness that affirmed not only who I was, but also my role. At Hampton and at most Black colleges, you learn, I believe it was Kipling who spoke to this idea, be not simply good, be good for something. And at Hampton, they said, this education isn't just for you. This education is for all those people who never had a chance to get it. And if you're going to be in a school of education here, you need to go out and inspire people to come get this. So what I learned at Hampton was not only Black excellence, the standard of excellence even, but what I learned was to be good for something greater than myself. Those were some of the most rigorous classes I've attended ever. I've gone to the College of William and Mary, University of Maryland at College Park for graduate school, and straight A's. It was nothing, because at Hampton, I was prepared. I had one class called, and it's very deceptive, it was called Basic Books in Black History. I'm like, I'm a history major, this will be great. Basic books. I got there and I didn't realize they meant all of them. Literally all of them. I was reading a book a week up from slavery, the autobiography of Malcolm X. And in my class, the professor was very rigorous. He would call on specific people. So in chapter 2, what did you think? I mean, he ran it like a really intense seminar. What are the socioeconomic implications of that? Like, I had to step my game up, and I thought that I was not like the others. So all of you thinking you're not like the others, and maybe I should go to PWI. No, maybe you should go to a place that is going to, as we say, iron sharpens iron. Go to that place and be not simply good, be good for something, because you can learn to be very good going to any school. But to have a collective consciousness to be good for something, that's something else. And those of you who know me, you know that if you come to me and you talk to me, I talk to you differently. You want to know why? Because someone talked to me differently. And that's not the experience that you would get in those other places. Know that.
I can piggyback on Mrs. Shabazz. My HBCU experience from my freshman year was an awakening experience. I became woke very fast, even though I was getting the teachings from home. It's different when you are put to the fire in the classroom, right, during a lecture or a seminar. Going to a HBCU taught me how to have that additional pride and respect for myself as a Black woman. It taught me who I am as a Black woman. It taught me what type of African woman I am in society. So going to an HBCU was a experience that was mandatory, and it's mandatory for my children. Even my fourth grader is asking me what HBCU she's going to, because she doesn't have a choice. So my daughter graduated from T.C. Williams. It was T.C. when she graduated. And she went to HBCU. And then on her own, by the way, I did not make her go. She went to graduate school to another HBCU at Morehouse. So the legacy continues. And know that when you step on campus, you are representing and following the legacy of your ancestors. So you want to make sure that you have that connection. And all of my PWI friends, okay, that went to those institutions, they always say, I wish I would have went to HBCU. So you don't want to be having that guilt on your heart for the rest of your life. So, yeah.
I will agree. Just on the last thing that Ms. Lewis said, I do have a lot of friends that are like, oh, I wish I had gone there. And even when I was in school, so again, Norfolk State, there's literally 4 colleges and universities in the area within 30 minutes of each other. So Old Dominion is within 10 minutes up the street. Literally every day, somebody from Old Dominion University was on Norfolk State campus because it was better. It was better. But I will say that in my experience, I was in the honors program at my university, and that is how I got my scholarship. So there was no like slacking. If you slack, you got put out. So it was no options. Like, you just had to do it. The other piece of it is also, like Ms. Lewis said, for me going to college period, I was so shy, so timid. And I'm still a little bit shy now, but I was just talking to my dad the other day, and he was just like noticing, like, when you were a little girl, you were so shy. Being on my HBCU campus did that for me. Because like Mrs. Shabazz said, iron sharpens iron. I didn't have the option to just sit there and fade into the shadow, the background. I had to step up, and I had to do my part, and I had to contribute. Now, I know that doesn't necessarily sound like a good thing, especially if you're shy, but it made me better as a person. And I wanted to, because of all of the great people that I saw around me, because of all of the great things that I saw from the people around me. They were doing great things. So why wouldn't I? That's what my HBCU did for me. So one thing that, this kind of roused me up. One thing that irritates me is that we assume that because if we're not in an AP class or a dual enrollment class or a class where everybody is Black, that not everybody in the room is, well, if everybody in there is white, then it's this whole notion that if there's not white people in my room with me, then there must be something wrong with the people, something wrong with the group. I don't understand that notion. I didn't have AP dual enrollment classes at my high school, and if we did, I didn't take them. I just didn't. I didn't feel comfortable taking them. It just wasn't something that I did. But there was this notion that if I'm not in those classes, I can't. And I don't know where that came from. I don't know why it's there. But when I was at an HBCU, I didn't have that. When I was in the room, we were all bright. We were all fabulous. We were all amazing. And we were all there for the same cause. And I know for a fact there are many of you in this room that when you're in classes and not everybody looks like you, you feel less than. You don't have to tell me. I already know. Been there, done that. And so you have to understand that when you go to an HBCU, you don't have that. You go in that room and nobody's looking at you and thinking that you can't. We're all like, we can. We just try to figure out what it's going to be. And so you have to understand if that's the kind of space you need to be in for you to move forward, then an HBCU is definitely for you. And I would suggest you continue on through HBCU. I did not. My route was different, but I definitely know what that felt like. And I think there are times people who are adults who have made it still feel that way to some degree. And so I think this kind of experience exposes you, lets you know that greatness is greatness. And so don't let anybody make you feel as though you are not. And I believe that HBCU experience gives you that type of confidence. And I would challenge somebody to come at me and think that my education was different. Because I can do what they do. Let's be clear. And more. Absolutely. And when we talk about exposure, when you've been around a whole lot of black folks, that's a heck of an experience. So you're exposed to that. When you've been around a large Hispanic population, like at this school, that's exposure. Now you know how to mix and mingle there. When you've been around a lot of white folks, then you can mix and mingle and be in that type of exposure. Now you have this depth. And so you can take this experience that you have here at this high school and do something with it. And then when you get ready to choose an HBCU, think about what that is going to be so when you make your mark. Sorry, I just get like, woo. Sorry.
Ms. Butler, we can drop the mic now. Okay. So, and as the college and career counselor, I want all of you to consider that. And as you continue to make your decisions, there are some colleges that have rolling admissions. There are schools that are still accepting applications. Some of you have not chosen to even apply. Definitely you need to apply. And some of you will choose. Right now you think that you may be going to one institution. When your financial aid comes in, when you get an opportunity to take a look at your options, you may make that choice. Don't count it out. The data statistically says that when you match data with the success and socioeconomic status throughout the country based on historically black colleges and universities and graduates, it can't be beat. So do not listen to people that are saying the wrong thing, because what they're saying to you is not correct. In the same way other people have biases about things, about being in a room full of a certain nationality of people. Come on now. Okay? And we're trying to do things the right way and do things just in an excellent way. And you see the excellence. And now we're going to really step into some of the fun. And we're going to talk about the HBCU Homecoming. And with that homecoming, I want to let everyone know how unique of an experience that is. Miss
I wanted to
Barnum.
add to something that you were saying, Ms. Morris, about the financial aid piece
Yes.
and with money. That's another thing about that whole nurturing piece of, say that you're at the school and you're at a point where you're running out of money or you need more money, whatever your family situation is, et cetera, et cetera. I can tell you from the experience of my daughter, my oldest daughter attends North Carolina A&T, and having that family type environment, the dean of her major, animal sciences, was able to pull her, and because she has a 4.0 basically in her major, she's still on the dean's list and everything overall, but because she has maintained such excellence within her major, that dean pulled her aside to say to her, listen, there's some extra money and funding that we have in animal science that are for our students that are excelling. Now, I can't say that that would have happened necessarily anywhere else, but because that dean is very familiar with those groups of individuals that are within his particular setting, he called on her, and she was chosen to receive more finances. That helps mama out, okay?
And that's from the largest HBCU, which is North Carolina A&T. So you even still have a very intimate feel where your classes are smaller. Statistically, all over, students do better in smaller size classrooms. So consider that. And also, large schools can have a small field too, which is what her daughter is experiencing specifically.
And Ms. Morris, I kind of object to the largest thing because the Southern University subsystem, we house the most students in enrollment. The system, is Baton Rouge, Shreveport, and New Orleans.
I'll give you that, but this is in one location, which is in Greensboro. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, I did want to piggyback off of Ms. Barner real quick. Even when I was in school, I'm telling you, that was like the brokest time of my life. So when you go to college, you will be broke. But, being from the area, I remember one semester there was one of the secretaries, and she was like, did you know? She said, we're offering a book scholarship. And if you ever had to purchase college books, they are not cheap. And I remember I was eligible to get a book scholarship from the local alumni. Just being in the right place and knowing people, I'm like, hey, you need some books? Yes, I need some books. I need some books. And I was able to get a book scholarship for 2 semesters. Again, being somewhere else that might not have happened. So,
and the average price of your books will be about $1,200 a year. Yeah. If you're a science or computer science major, it may be a little bit more, and that's at any school. In particular, we're talking about the grants and scholarships. So you can see, I'm putting a plug in for the College and Career Center for those of you seniors that have not come. That grant is available for students within your institutions, and as you make your decisions, specifically if you are Pell eligible, a book scholarship is built within that grant, but we need to have a conversation, and I need to see you.
And that's the things that we talk about with HBCUs. And don't be afraid to select an HBCU that you probably never heard of, right? Those smaller HBCUs, like I said, my daughter came from here with 4,000 students and went to Stillman College in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, which is down the street from University of Alabama. And it had 750 students there, right, when she enrolled. But she was treated VIP the whole 4 years. So remember, she wasn't going to get that treatment with 30,000 students over at University of Alabama. And by the way, her campus was more secure, and they had more pride. They would go to functions where the 2 schools would intertwine, and they all knew the Stillman students, and the Stillman students stood out because those University Alabama students that were Black, they would always migrate to them and say, hey, what y'all doing on y'all campus, right? Because it's a family, a small situation where you can get the treatment. They will treat you like a star on a smaller campus versus going to a big school with 30,000 students. So where you're just a number. So don't be afraid to go to like a Bethune-Cookman, like smaller schools, right? Instead, and you don't have to go to a big one like Hampton and Howard, and even Norfolk is really big, right? So so make sure you're not afraid to apply to those schools, maybe HBCUs that you have not heard of either. Yes, yeah.
I just want to point out too that HBCUs, there are schools that are Division I. I don't know where this notion is that you gotta go to a big white school and play a sport.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you won't get in, and they won't give you the money. There's a level of elitist. You have to be this elitist sense thing. So if you are looking to play a sport, we are D1 schools, several, and so you need to look into that because you can get money and you can hit the court. You can actually play.
With that, Ms. Butler. University of Maryland Eastern Shore has a bowling team that has been kicking butt all over the country, and they've been number 1 for bowling, Shabazz, bowling.
Yeah.
And they're also Division I in baseball and basketball and other things. So,
the current number 1 track team in the United States is at North Carolina A&T, not HBCU, but in the country. Okay, so remember that. Plenty of D1. What Deion Sanders is doing at Jackson State is absolutely amazing in reference to athletes. The HBCU combine for football and basketball. Can we talk about homecoming?
Yes, Lord.
Can we talk about
what you want to know?
Okay, so let's talk about the band. Because members of the band, I know some people are in the band. you're thinking about, if you want an experience, there's nothing like an HBCU homecoming. And it's not just the band, it's the food, it's the friends, it's the new students that are there, it's the celebrities that are there, all of your favorite rappers. We got old school rapping here, No Limit, No Limit. So it's a fabulous experience, and it's really great experience for you all at this level, because all of your favorites will be there too.
Yeah, they will.
But what is your favorite part of homecoming? Because homecoming consists of all of that: band, food, fun, and a lot of parties.
Well, my school is a little different because we don't have football. We have a basketball homecoming. We used to have homecoming in February, which was very unique, and everybody from every HBCU would be coming to our campus. They've moved it to November now. It's still basketball. But the thing for me is most definitely going back to see like my friends. I met friends that I am still friends with to this day. My best friend, we met at a college picnic. She called me. She was like, "Hey, this is Shane. I'm going to the picnic. Are you going?" "Sure, I'll go with you." And we were inseparable ever since. And people would like, "You saw her, you saw me." I also have a unique story. I met my husband in college, my senior year. So, I mean, I'm not telling you ladies to go husband hunting, but that's how it happened for me. So, but I mean, like, 26 years later. But, the friendships, the connections, just, I remember when we ran through the dorm throwing water balloons at people, or we had the blizzard of 96 and, getting snowed in on campus, and, so many memories that you just have and connections. I remember, I lived off of the kids menu at McDonald's, Burger King, and Popeyes, because again, in college you're broke, but you were broke with your friends. If I had, my friend had. If I didn't have, and they had, we had. That's how it was. When you move to the efficiency part, and so-and-so lives in this part of campus where they got a kitchen. Oh, they cooking dinner. Come on, let's go to the store. We gonna make dinner. It's just one of those things where you just have to experience. It can't really be explained. You have to experience it. But for me, it's like the lifelong connections for me.
I think for me, it's like Facebook. So like, I don't know if you are social media, whatever, all those things you do that Miss Butler doesn't do.
They're instant Twitter,
Instagram. But literally
TikTok.
That's what homecoming is. It's just the digital version. It's the in-person version of the digital version of what you do. When you're like, literally just the musical piece, the TikTok, like all of those things is what homecoming is in person. And for me, what I like about it, it also allows you to connect and network, because there are folks that you haven't seen in a long time, and they're working at certain places, and you work where? Oh, wait, I didn't know you lived there. And so it becomes this, we're going to party tonight. We're going to network during the day. We might meet our significant other, maybe not. You'll see a lot of professors that are a part of, a lot of those who are in your classes, they are part of that engagement. But it also is this whole level of fellowship. And I think it's different because of the way you have the sororities, the fraternities. I never pledged, but I went to watch them because it was just something I wanted to do. If you laugh and giggle at the people in the band, you shouldn't, because they are it when it comes to homecoming. Some of y'all talk about those folks, but then when we have a game, everybody's like, everybody gets into it. So those are the social, that extracurricular activity stuff that you were into, the SGA, that's what homecoming is at a higher level. The people that organize that, those are all those things that you get from an HBCU experience. And it's just, when I went down south, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a northerner, but this south thing is with it. They knew how to party. They looked out for each other. We didn't leave people hanging when we made poor decisions, because we make them. But it was a family thing. It was like, we're going to go over there. You're going to hook me up. What happened yesterday is not going to happen today. And so you have to understand that when we get on your case about that educational experience, it doesn't mean that there's not fun involved. But when I was at an HBCU, we knew what it meant to be responsible, so we could do it again. That was the whole point. Like, I'm a party tonight. I'm going to get up and go to my class because I'm a party tonight. And I'm going to do this because I'm a party tonight. And I felt like there was this level of responsibility that we all had for each other that I swear you don't get at other schools. You just don't. That HBCU thing is real, because your mama will kick your butt if you don't go to that class because we pay for it. And so it's all those different pieces. And so that HBCU homecoming thing is a real thing. I don't go all the time, But when you do go, you could miss 5 years and go and feel like you were just there the year before. And there are people who live and breathe homecoming. And I think it's a real thing because it is a sense of joy to let you know we were all educated. We're all doing big things. We're all in different places and spaces. But we've got to pay homage into that. And so I think it's great. And I will say, even if you go to a homecoming, most people who go to a lot of the homecomings didn't go to that school. When we go on Instagram, they're like, you heard about Howard? Now, mind you, I'm much older than people in this room. When they say, Howard coming, their homecoming coming up. Girl, let me find, I can't wait. And I'm grown. I'm excited. And so there's another piece, too, where you have that commonality between all the schools. So it is definitely something you'd be exposed to. But you got to go HBCU to be exposed to it. Yeah.
So, homecoming. I'm that person that goes to homecoming every single year, except for COVID year, last year, whatever. It is the best time, literally. So y'all are on TikTok every single day. That is the one time you don't want to be caught on TikTok. Because if you're on TikTok during homecoming, that means you embarrass yourself. In a bad way. You can embarrass yourself and have a good time with your friends. Don't get caught on TikTok on homecoming. I'm telling y'all. And people, you have your cameras out during homecoming, during any time, right? Listen, it is the best time. The parties, the food, and when I say the food, okay, let's go to the stadium outside. It's packed with grills. And you go from this person to this person to this person, and you're not paying for any food. Tailgate. I can't say it. Okay. Yeah, so you're not paying for the food. So, just have a good time. Literally, we're just standing out there talking, reminiscing.
Like lunch and learn.
Yes. Reminiscing, and we're literally out there from 12 in the afternoon till midnight that same day. Nobody wants to go home because we're having such a good time. So I'm gonna just keep it at that because then I'm gonna start.
Well, yeah, the same thing at Hampton. The homecoming is amazing, but I want to flip it for a moment. Let's just say that you are an African American, and let's say you've gone to a PWI. Here's what happens. They don't go to their homecomings. No, and I know you might not understand why, but I have a lot of friends that have gone to predominantly white institutions, and of course, a lot of friends have gone to predominantly black institutions. So everything that you've heard here is affirmation of what I would say anyway. So let me just tell you that many of my friends who are black and who've gone to predominantly white institutions, they never go to their homecoming because it never felt like home. It was something that they did to get a degree, and it was done because they had a lot of bad experiences. So there is no paying homage to this place. It was a place where I got a degree and I had some bad experiences, but I got a great education, and I'm going to see what I can do with this education. So what we are talking about up here is a very unique experience to historically black colleges and universities. My experience at homecomings, I was in the band, and let me tell you, being in a marching band at a historically black college is like playing a sport. I mean, I was on a partial scholarship. I had to play for everything. I was in the marching band, the pep band, the jazz band. I had to play for my own graduation. I had to take the roll ball. Oh yeah, absolutely. Brass D, the best trumpets by the sea. Stop playing. But my point is, homecoming represents really this family feel. And this family feel is the same thing that black graduates of PWIs wanted to feel while they were undergraduates and still want to feel when they're graduates. So you know what they do? They are the ones who also go back to HBCU homecomings, even though they didn't go to HBCUs. When I was at Hampton's campus, the black people from William & Mary, they were on my campus. The black people from ODU, they were on my campus. You want to know why? Because it was lit. That's why. And all the fun was happening where we were because this was home. And many of them have these regrets. Now, clearly, you can get a good education anywhere. But be not simply good, learn to be good for something. And that's what I learned at Hampton. The homecomings are amazing. I'm treated like royalty when I go back. I was in the band, in the marching band, Brass D. I pledged a fraternity. Lots of fun there. Lots of fun. You talk to me offline. But anyway, lots of fun. Did I say that? So step shows, all of that. I was on the step team. We did, it was just an amazing experience. And all of those things made me who I am today. So as Malcolm said, we are all but products of everything that has ever happened to us. So when you see this black swagger, and when you see this black confidence talking to you, if you have ever taken one of my courses, or if we're just talking casually, that swagger came from something, right? Because I was nurtured in a place where I felt affirmed. So at the end of it, I am confident in any room. If I'm the only black person in the room, I'm confident. Because I went to a place where for 4 years, those were the only people in the room. And just because you're from a black place, because I'm from a very black place, there were no white people in my high school, let's be clear, except for teachers. But even if you go into a black high school, going to a black college is a totally different experience because everyone there is trying to do something. And the kind of networking that happens at homecoming and beyond, absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I wanted to say about the family field, because I'm probably the only sister up here that got 2 left feet. But can't dance, and I was pledging at that time, like Mr. Boston step show. And when you talk about that family field, class of 1972, 68, everybody wanted to come. The AKAs from the past came. So you see that generation feeling of people coming back home for a big family reunion. And when you're pledging, it's no joke. Everybody, the sisters want to see me from 1975. It's just everybody coming back home. That feeling that, your college must be great that all these people, generations are coming back home. And it's just a wonderful feeling. I hope y'all get.
We do, and we want that experience for all of you. And this is just to extend an arm of what is available to you that not only includes excellence, it includes a great experience and education. And you can get the best of all worlds. All of you are going to experience transitions as you matriculate to college in the fall. There are many seniors here that I have seen. There's some of you that I haven't. The students from Minnie Howard, I look forward to you coming over to the main building next year. I have many things for sophomores, juniors also. But for you as seniors, please get your own information. Get some real data from the people that absolutely understand and know so that you can have an accurate representation of where you really belong. I want you to go somewhere that embraces you, that you enjoy, and that you are learning in a very rigorous manner for your future careers. This is an extension that is at the same level of every other institution. Do not believe the hype, because I got data. Miracle, you want to go to your next question? I'm sorry, Miss Lewis. Go ahead. You can hand it to me. So they really spoke to all of these questions, and I think Ms. Lewis has something to say. I'm going to speak for 1 second and hand her the mic. How diverse was your HBCU? Ms. Butler spoke to you. I told you only 75% of the students on HBCUs are African American or Black students. The other students are Latina. They are from different countries, Lebanon, Egypt. They're from everywhere, okay? East Asia. So it's definitely welcoming campuses. They're historically Black colleges that primarily educate African Americans for the various reasons that we discussed earlier. Are you a part of familial legacy? That was in everything all of them said. They are a part of a familial legacy. Basic needs for you, even as a high school student, is being comfortable and being able to have that level of comfort. And this is what you automatically get. It really is. Were there some times in college that were difficult? Shout out to College and Career Center real quick. We're going to have some sessions this summer that talk to students about transitioning to college and matriculating. There are some hard times at college. having a base of basic needs and comfort that they have expressed at their various schools is something that can get you through and make you better and have an encouraging, non-hater environment. Will you experience some of that? Of course. You know, you experience that everywhere. But I'm telling you, it's more love than anything, hands down, from everything. What's the difference between the HBCU network and other institutions? How did the HBCU network influence your career path? I'm going to hand this to Ms. Butler. Let me say this. This is a real bone of contention. You can answer any of the questions that you want. When students come to me and tell me that they're going to get a better job if they don't go to an HBCU. Can we laugh, please? So let me tell you, that is a myth, right, Melvin? Right? That's a myth. And I'm sure it's one that you know all about too. It is not true, okay? We have greats that are teaching here from Harvard, Princeton, Yale, and they're all right beside these excellent teachers that you have here. So I want to hand this to Ms. Butler. She wants to answer one of the questions, but can you speak to the network influence in your career path?
I want to answer all that because I feel like a lot of times we here at Alexandria City High School don't really utilize the networks that we have. Mr. Shabazz and I had to call him one day and well, also a couple of times say, should I call him, because I had some students that were at Hampton currently, and they were going through some things, needed some help, and the first person that came to my mind was Mr. Shabazz. I didn't go to high school with him. We didn't go to the same university. But when you have a connection at an HBCU, it is forever. I can call a lot of folks right now for kids that are at school. Students will come back, and then you can also have those connections. I talked to someone last night that's at Norfolk State. There were some things they had questions about. So you have to utilize, that network is so different. I could walk on Morgan State campus right now and get the hookup with a ton of things because I'm there. I went there. I want to have some students that are interested. Please do not utilize the resources you have when you have teachers here that are willing to help. They're helping in your classes anyway, but you have teachers that are directly related to that school, and you do not get that at PWIs. You just don't. Yours is more about notoriety, who went, what y'all doing now, but the HBCU feel is real, and the network is, you know that. The constant conversations I have with a lot of teachers about a lot of students, or they'll call me and say, hey, do you know somebody that went to Southern? Do you know somebody that is at Elizabeth City? And I go, oh, wait, let me see. Oh, yeah, I do. Next thing you know, I call them, make a connection, and boom. And also don't do it based off of, someone else's experience. If someone had a bad experience at a school, that's their experience, not yours.
I just want to say really quickly that just speaking about the networking piece, I want you to also understand that when you go to an HBCU, we have a friendly rivalry while we're there, but once we graduate, you become part of the HBCU family. I want you to understand that doesn't happen anywhere else. If I know that someone went to an HBCU or vice versa, it's like they went to my HBCU, but just in another place, So I want you to understand, we look out for one another. It's a family, and that network will open doors that you didn't even know were there. So just know that too. I just wanted to say that.
Okay, so we're gonna turn it over to the floor. So do you guys have any more?
Oh, any quick questions? We only got 3 minutes. I'm sorry about that. Any questions? Anyone want the mic?
Could be any questions.
We talk too much. We were just so excited to have you. We did answer a lot of questions. And thank you. Yeah. You can email, call, please step into the College and Career Center. We want to thank you again, not only for being present and giving us your undivided attention. We appreciate it. And we want to thank you. Oh, I have a question in the back. Go ahead. So as far as information, everything's on the internet. Every time I hand a pamphlet out, it winds up on the floor. I do have some excellent specific data that's here if anyone's interested to have something. If you come to the College and Career Center, we have lists and we have specific HBCUs that are highlighted. If you're interested in any of this information, you're more than welcome to have some. We're also going to be hosting some HBCU events coming up. Have a wonderful day and thank you.